Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Unbounded podcast. I'm your host, Todd Simmons, and I got a special treat for you guys today. Welcome back to all the listeners. Welcome back to those of you who have subscribed. Again, hit that like button. Go to YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this at the current moment. Please continue to support us. We appreciate it. But we have a special treat today. We're going to be talking about something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't talk about. This is not really an entrepreneur show. We go out and beyond Unbounded, beyond limits, and we go find those amazing conversations with people who are living the unbounded life. Those people who take risks, those people who are going out there and don't take the normal path that people would think they should take, or they're just out there just doing just great things. So today we got a special treat. We got Kennedy Mackall with us. She's the founder of Sierra & Company, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about her company in a little bit, but let me tell you how I met this young lady. Now, I only met her, but we had a conversation 24 hours or so before this podcast was kind of taped and filmed. But let me give you a little back history. I won't do a traditional bio. We throw traditional bios out the window on this show. We're not going to read all that. We get to know our guests and we get to see how they can help with the inspirational conversations that they have. But Kennedy is special. I will tell you, so I won't give her age. I'm going to let her tell you her age when she tells you her backstory. I work with a lot of things, do a lot of speaking. We do conferences. So we had the first half of our women and men's conference here in DC back in November, and we called it She Leads. It was a women empowerment conference with 100 women in the room here in Virginia of just dynamic women that's doing things in government, industry, corporate, all over. Then we got the bright idea. We're going to have a pitch competition at the end of this thing that's going to have 5 or 6 entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs that are going to pitch their business, and they're going to go for a grand prize and all of this stuff and mentorship and coaching to try to help women in business. But we, being our first time doing a conference, didn't do a very good job at advertising. And that's where the beauty of it comes in. So Kennedy walks into this pitch competition, applies, and kills it. But I will tell you the surprise. You'll be like, oh, well, she killed it. She's an entrepreneur. But I'll tell you a little secret. Kennedy was probably decades, in some cases, younger than some of our competitors, and came in there and pitched Sierra & Company. And one of those things that she walked away with, being one of our winners, is she walked away with a year of coaching mentorship, which with my company, CLA Inc., was the sponsor of the mentorship, which we have given her some coaches. Shout out to Blair Tate and a few others, D. Mosley and folks who have now rallied around Kennedy to, give her that business advice and acronym and things that make her take her company to the next level. But that's how I met her. And immediately when one of my friends who have been a friend for over a decade, the Blair Tate, shout out to Blair again, 8-figure, and she said, you have to meet Kennedy. You have to meet this young lady. And when I hear the Blair Tate say, you have to meet someone, then it's on my priority. So I got an opportunity to do that yesterday. We had a good hour session, talked about things she wants to do in business. That's a long intro because Kennedy, you deserve a long intro. I have been doing this for a long time. I've been in business for a while. I've been in leadership positions for 32 years now. And I have never seen, like I told you, when the mic wasn't on yesterday, someone as driven as you. So I titled this episode for Kennedy. This episode is built for her. The quiet discipline behind real growth. That's what we're going to talk about today. Because if you get to meet Kennedy one day, which is special, you'll know that there's a quiet discipline behind her, behind the growth and what she's being able to do. She's not an influencer. She's not putting it out there. She's not like on billboards going up I-95. But the discipline that she has to do the great things she's doing is remarkable. Kennedy, that is the longest intro I've ever done to a show. It's Welcome amazing. To Unbounded Podcast. How are you doing on this afternoon?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I mean, man, I didn't practice that at all either. I'm like, man, I was just excited. You know what I'm saying? So, Kennedy, on Unbounded, what we do is we just have a conversation. That's it. 2 parts of a conversation. First, we build that moral trust with the audience, which we're going to ask some questions. We want to get to know you a little bit better. And then we give some audience some great nuggets on that journey of living unbounded, to kind of let them kind of see what is your methodology? How we do this? How do we live these lives? That's kind of like not the beaten path. So let's start off with just a quick question, right? When you hear the phrase that I said, quiet discipline, in the context of growth, when I use that thing, quiet discipline, what does that mean for you as you look back on your journey? But before that, tell us about yourself, Tell us about Sierra and Co. Tell us what Kennedy is doing, and you can reveal who you are at that moment.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kennedy Mackall. I am 17 years old, a senior in high school, currently enrolled in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. And honestly, I started Sierra and Co. I've been doing the work since 12 years old, but as a result of registering for the She Leads DC conference, I decided to gather together my resources and make a business out of it. So the She Leads DC conference definitely pushed me to make something out of what I've already been doing. So for Sierra and Company, what we do is just focusing on project management, systems, and just back efficiency for small business owners. We ensure that small business owners have the systems that they need to work as efficiently as possible, giving them their time back to focus on the things that really deserve their focus.
Awesome. I was going to be like, awesome, but tell them you're not a startup. You've been doing this since you were 12 years old with a family member in a similar business. You already have established your own customers. We're not going to let you sell yourself short on this podcast. You're unbounded. You have already established yourself in the market by being entrusted with at least 5 or 6 businesses on your own now, developing customers. And do not sit here and be like, oh, she's 17, she's going to school and she's in this involved, really high academic program. What else are your extracurricular activities that you just squeeze in on top of being a business owner?
I have a long list. I am the captain of the debate team at my school. I am a varsity cheerleader. I'm the captain of the Peer Forward team at my school. I am vice president of the National Honor Society, as well as the vice president of the SGA, which is Student Government Association. I also volunteer weekly at my church with the 2 and 3-year-olds. And I think that's it.
I mean, Kenny just listed a few things. She's not busy. She's not 17. She's not graduated from high school. She's not driving herself around. She's not working actually, with her aunt and founding and starting a company, pitching, getting checks against people who are 50 years old. She's not doing a lot. So, I mean, it's 2 parts of this. I want to definitely Kenny, thank you for that. I want to highlight that not only to our youth out there, but I want to definitely highlight that to anyone. We always talk about in the entrepreneurial space that how hard entrepreneurship is and how unorthodox it is. And, Kenny's 17 years old, and I'm going to tell you, she just listed off enough things to make me tired. And the fact that she is still out here, with a whole life and a future ahead of her is like, no, I want to be a business owner right now. We'll get back into Sierra and Company in a little bit about what you see, because I want entrepreneurs to hear the vision that you have for your company and why vision is so important, and talking about that quiet discipline that you've already see the future of scaling your business. So go back to the question before that awesome introduction you gave. What is quiet discipline? What does that mean woven into all of those things? How do you block out the noise to make sure that you can effectively do those laundry lists of things and also take care of yourself, Kennedy?
I would say definitely time management and ultimately integrity are 2 things that guide my life. Making sure that even though I don't feel like it, being honest with myself and others of what I can take on. But time management, I have an extensive calendar with all of my accounts. Everything is on one area. Reminders about assignments or client deliverables are all there as well, so I can see everything in one place. I definitely say in the past year, I have had to work on making sure that I do take time for myself and not burn out, because I've always been somebody who likes to pursue a lot of different things. My mind is always racing about the next thing or goal I can accomplish. So I have learned to tap into my spiritual life more. So I've been reading my Bible daily since April of 2023. I make sure that I reserve that time every day, regardless of how tired I may be, regardless of what's going on, always making sure I give time to God and myself to just ground my mind and just calm myself down from a busy day. It might have been a bad day or a good day, but still keeping that same structure. I think I'm a very structured person, so having a detailed calendar has definitely helped me. And honestly, just keeping my goals in mind. There obviously will be times where it's like, I don't feel like doing this, or I'm just so tired. Like, yesterday for our call.
Yeah.
I was ripping and running all day. I got home, 5 minutes, opened my computer. It's time to get on the call. So I think keeping goals in mind, even though I might be tired or even though my peers may not be on the same wavelength or might think, oh, you could be doing X, Y, and Z, I have to keep what I want my future to look like in mind. And I always tell myself, sacrifice now and relax later. So while everybody else is saying you should do these things, kind of trying to get me off track, I just stay focused and know while they're not as focused as me right now, I'm staying focused, and later on, I'll have the life that I desire and ultimately deserve for all the work I put in.
Man, I will tell you, my producer, shout out to him, man. If you don't make that a viral clip by itself, that's why I did not interrupt you. I was thinking when you were talking, I was thinking at what point, I'm 50 years old in 3 weeks. And I was thinking at what point in my life did I think clearly and articulately like you just laid out? And I'm still thinking. I'm still kind of thinking about that. I'm not going to say that I haven't had some of those things like consistently, but I don't have all of those. And I will tell you, this is one of the reasons why I think, everyone who comes in contact with you is so impressed, because yes, there will be some valleys and things and peaks and things that are, that you have already probably experienced with growing a business and different things. But the fact that you even have a vision, that you have a vision for what you want your life. Let's dovetail into that a little bit before we get too far. And you talked about, I know you're a senior in high school, so it's a lot of transition going on in your life. You have had a lot of interest, so in certain areas from entrepreneurship and government and different things. So what does this time next year look like for you?
So, this time next year, I plan to be pursuing a degree in public policy on the pre law track. I'm actually considering double majoring in business and public policy.
Of
But
course.
yes, but I would say public policy for me, I've been interested since middle school, and that has definitely added fuel to the fire as a result of many different research projects I've done during my high school years as a result of the IB program, specifically mass incarceration and how it affects
Mm,
the Black community. So, as a result of doing multiple research projects on that topic, I want to be a part of the change in that sector. And, as a young person, I feel like I can bring a new and fresh energy to the environment. Most of our representatives in the Senate or even the House of Representatives are usually people that don't reflect the general population. So I think as a result, we need more young people in politics to get the opinion of younger people who are ultimately the future. I think everybody matters, but the voices of our future, especially young people, deserve to be heard as well.
man, you live in Maryland or Virginia?
Maryland.
Okay, I'm voting for you. I live in Maryland. So you have my vote already. So let me know when I need to go vote for Congresswoman Kennedy. I'll still be here in Maryland in 20 years. So, I don't think it's going to be 20 years. I can see you at 26 years old being in office probably. But no, that is awesome. So, you talking about a laundry list of things. Two questions I got, like, who's your mentor and how does that look for you mentorship wise? Who do you have in your corner that is like, man, that's guided this trajectory for you?
I think it's been a mix of people. My mom always would say, like, it takes a village, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. My mom has definitely been somebody who's always pushed me and always accommodated whatever I needed to do. If I'm saying I wanted to do this club, she would make sure that I was able to get there. And if she wasn't able to take me, she would find a way for me to get there and get back home safely. It was things that I was able to study abroad on a scholarship during my 10th grade year to Scotland. And,
Wow.
me and my mom are very close. So that was, a moment for both me and her out of our comfort zone, different time zones, 3,500 miles across an ocean. It wasn't a quick drive just to get me, it was a flight. So that was a situation where she kind of reserved her worries and allowed me to just keep going and not allowing anything that she's worried about to hold me back. Her mindset is always, whatever she didn't accomplish or anybody wasn't able to accomplish, allowing me to have the opportunity and not allowing her biases or her worries to hold me back. I also think my aunt has also played a big role She's almost a little bit of everything. With her business, I worked for her as well. So she's been a mentor in business and spirituality and just in womanhood as well. So I think multiple women in my life have played a huge role in my development, as well as my teachers. I think in eighth grade was my breakout year. Prior to that, I was more reserved. But my teacher, we had a class unit on poetry, and she signed me up for a Comcast poetry slam, and I won.
Of course you did.
So it was like, oh my goodness. So that was something that started to get me out of my shell. And then ninth grade, I joined the debate team, and I've been on the debate team for 4 years. I've moved up the ranks. I became captain. I've won awards. And that's, so I think it's been multiple people in my development that have shaped me. So I never forget where I came from, but also reflecting on those along the way. Although they might have been at different points in my life, many people have helped shape me who I am today.
No, I love that, man. And you have such a grounding of knowing who you are and the sense of where you came from. I've been around a lot of people. And sometimes I ask people, hey, who's your mentor? And I think sometimes people don't know, and that's okay. I think at some point in my life, I didn't know how to answer that. I looked at more sometimes. I think sometimes we look at mentorships as a transactional sometime, and it can be, right? But man, you started with your mom and you talked about how taking you places or making sure that you had the opportunities that she didn't, right?
Right.
And I remember that just like took a chill, right? My mom is 82 years old. I'm the youngest of four kids, and my siblings are a lot older than me. So at some point, I was the only kid in the house, right? And I remember my mom, always would literally tell me, and I still to this day sometimes, like, she was super A student in school and all of this stuff. And, her mom passed away. And then there was a dad ended up passing away before she graduated high school. And then she got sick. So she couldn't finish her last year of high school. She had to go to like an inpatient, because she had some lung issues. And my mom always talking about, what could have been if the life was different. And she always reminded me of that, but she always reminded me of what I can do. And like always proud. I think my mom has always been the biggest cheerleader I've ever had and the biggest clap. And it was for the reason of I got to do some things that she wasn't afforded. And when you talked about that mentor, because that's not traditional what you say a mentor is, right? And some people be like, well, no, this person showed me how to do this. This person showed me money. And it's always transactional. So I appreciate that. And it made me reflect like my mom was probably one of my biggest mentors, even though a lot of the things that I was getting into, she couldn't really tell me how to do, but she showed up and got me there.
Yes.
To give me the space to do it. So thank you for that. Shout out moms
Yeah.
out there. Shout out Kennedy's mom. I have not met her yet, but because that's what it comes down to. Like, I have no idea. I have two daughters, 24 and 29. I can't tell you half the things that they know how to do, but I just try to create the space for them to do it. They're a lot smarter than I am. I can barely even use my iPhone 17. I don't know why I have an iPhone 17 because it's like I should have an iPhone 10 because all I do is use it for two things. So, thanks for that, Kenny. So, I want to talk about that boundary setting. And I think people can learn something from even you, like, when you talk about all of these things and you kind of mentioned boundaries a little bit earlier, you didn't use the word, but you talked about like peers doing things that, and setting your sights and making sure you're on point. Can you share a time where, setting a boundary of saying no to something led to growth? Like, like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And you felt like, oh man, that was good for me to say no to that because every opportunity probably isn't the right opportunity.
I think academically, this happens on a daily. With the rise of AI, people in my class tend to rely on ChatGPT. But ultimately, I think by using ChatGPT does have benefits. However, from an academic standpoint, it's harming society.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of worry, for example, if you're a nurse in nursing school, you're using ChatGPT to pass your exams, you're going to be my future nurse, my future doctor, but you use ChatGPT to get there. Obviously, it's other works, but the small things that you should probably know. I think a lot of students be like, just use ChatGPT for this assignment. It's easy, knock it out. But ultimately, you're not acquiring the knowledge that's required to pass culminating exams for that. So I would definitely say saying no on the daily for situations like that. As far as opportunities, honestly, I try to say yes to everything. But um, I'm trying to think, what is the opportunity I said no to?
Okay, so that's growth. That's part of
Yes.
growth right there, because we say what led to surprising growth. So you haven't, that's okay. Again, you're young. You haven't gotten there yet, because it takes some of us a long time. No becomes a powerful word with people who live as high performing individuals. You are a
Right.
high performing individual at 17. You already have the trait. You already have the go getter attitude. This is not going to slow down for you. But at some point, you're going to have to start. It's going to be something that really is something that you're passionate about. It could be something, I will tell you, I'll just give you an example of me. Something I'm super was passionate about. I love it. It's something that is about giving back to human beings, is all of this, but I couldn't fit it into my life. I was struggling. I was trying to do it. But it was starting to affect other parts of my life because I was balancing too much. And it was the hardest no I ever had to do. And this was recent. This was just last year. And I was a part of a very big nonprofit, and I was on that board. And I was on that board for 5 years, and it was a lot. And I was done. And my time was up. And I was like, oh, I made it to the end. And 2 months before my time was up, they came to me and said, hey, could you stay another year? And I was like, that's like telling you right now, can you stay another year in high school?
Absolutely not.
But see, because your entire body is saying what? It's over. I got to
Right.
the end. You've put the work in, you've had the stress. And I said yes, because we say yes to everything. And 30 days into that yes, I just knew I couldn't do it. So I had to turn around and say no. And I'm being transparent on this podcast. And I had to say no. And when I say it took everything in my body last October to go back and say, I can't do this. I said that no. I struggled with it for a couple of weeks after saying it, but I will tell you, I can feel physically, mentally, everything, my life opening back up, because it was just the things that I was trying to juggle. I don't juggle anymore, and I can give more attention to it.
Right.
So I just tell you that because I want you to think back when you have that moment. I want you to think back to this conversation when you have that moment when it's going to be something you will love and something you're so passionate about, but it's going to be one of many, many, many things on your plate. And it's going to be no more white space to put no more ham or turkey or stuffing on there. There's nothing else you can put on that Thanksgiving plate. And you're going to have to say no to the cheesecake. You have to say no to the red velvet cake. And it's going to hurt your heart. And I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about that because I want not only you, the listeners, I want you to know that it's okay to say no, because it's where you find growth sometimes. It's where you find a clarity of moment sometimes, but it's hard. And I'm not going to sit here and say, so thank you. I actually said too much on that, but I had me a moment of that. So you talk about public policy and the things that you want to do and the things that you want to do in college. So let's go back to Sierra and so what happens to Sierra and Company? So you want to be a public policy law student and take over the world, but you have a company that does something completely different. How do you see those two things playing out together?
So for me, Sierra and Company has already just kind of grown, and whatever skills I acquired, it acquires as well and is able to offer to clients. So I foresee that continuing. Ultimately, as a law student, I'm not 100% sure what realm I want to take if I actually want to be a lawyer. I definitely know I want to go to law school because I feel like having that Juris Doctorate will allow me to have a different fire behind me and knowledge of the law to be able to really make change. So I definitely think I want to go to law school, but I'm not too sure about actually practicing as an attorney. However, the skills that are acquired through undergrad and law school will definitely benefit my clients. So I definitely see Sierra and Co. growing with me and not ending anytime soon.
I absolutely love that. So we talked about being busy just a second ago and all these different things. And you're going to school and then you're going to have Sierra and Co. and Company. So in your experience, like a couple of kind of rapid fire questions, like, do you think people mistake? I'm gonna let you think about this for a second. Do you think people mistake activity for growth, like just being busy for growth? When I say that, so how do you mistake activity for growth? Like just being busy at a lot of things. What advice would you give someone instead of just doing a lot of things, be disciplined in what they do? Because even though you say yes to everything, you're still disciplined.
Yes. So I think, well, actually, one thing I did say no to this year that I did last year was I joined the math team. I don't know why I did that, but I I joined it, and it was cool. But this year, I think I reflected and wanted to be more intentional about where I spent my time. So ensuring that I'm genuinely doing things that I enjoy doing. Given the fact that it's my senior year, I don't want to waste my time doing things that I don't enjoy when I could be doing other things like having fun or maybe going out with my friends or even just going out to brunch with my mom.
Yeah.
But I think that some people may mistake being busy for growth because when you start from a place, some people may start from a place of being stagnant and maybe procrastination. But I would say for me, being busy does help me stay focused. I don't really procrastinate on tasks because I know I don't have time to do it later. I need to get this done now. So I think being busy helps with structure, but the limit to being busy is just taking on stuff just to say you're doing it versus actually producing quality work for the things that you're doing. I strongly believe in quality over quantity. It's not about how many things you're doing, because if you're producing mediocre work or mediocre deliverables for the work that you are doing, what does it matter? I always want to work in excellence and serve in excellence, and I don't want to have to do anything. If it has my name on it, it needs to be A plus 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 plus. So being mindful of what you choose to do and making sure you're always putting your best foot forward. Now, given the fact that your best may look different every day as we go through the years and the different seasons of life, but if you can say that you truly gave your best in that moment, I feel like that's the real growth.
Man, excellent. You know what? I didn't catch earlier when we were talking that you were like captain of the debate team. I see it now. I'm like, you're so quick on your feet, man. I'm like, I get it, boy. Like I was thinking about some of the questions that I was going to ask you earlier, and I'm very deliberate about how I want the conversation to kind of maybe flow a little bit.
Mhm.
And I was like, I kind of looked at a few questions. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to ask Kennedy that. And I'm just going to be honest, which I was like, she's 17 years old. I'm not going to ask her that. But I mean, like, nah, I don't think anything is off the plate. You you're like, come on, give me what else you got? That's it. That's a softball. Like, give me something hard. No, I mean, so you get an opportunity. We had a conversation, yesterday. So you have opportunity at this point to see two sides of the coin at entrepreneurship. You have worked to build small companies and saw, with your aunt's company, with your company now, being able to be close to small business owners, and now you're a small business owner yourself. I've heard your entire company's pitch and business plan and all the things you're trying to do. I think you're spot on. I think you're in an industry that is, and especially entering the industry where you are with AI tools and understand all of these different things and just systems and practices are making people more streamlined. My generation right now is the I hate to say it because I was talking to someone the other day, like, I'm 50, I'm Gen Xer. I remember this, you about to really crash out on this. I remember like in 1989, you're like, oh my God.
I wasn't even a thought.
I know. I remember in 1989 and computers were just kind of coming online in my school, right? We had kind of computers, not really, nobody can use them. It wasn't until like 90, 91 where I got computer class. We were using typewriters to train on. Yes, I see the look, Kennedy. But I remember when, if we thinking back to the late 90s at this point where cell phones are becoming a little bit more in the early 2000s, people are starting to get some cell phones. I was in Japan. Japan was ahead of the US in cell phone technology at the time, and we were getting cell phones and things. And my mom could not use a cell phone or a computer because, her generation didn't have it. So, me being in my early 20s, we were like the first generation that's starting to get on computers and see cell phones. That is occurring right now. So people in my generation, 50 to 60 years old, we know how to use computers very well. We know how to use cell phones pretty good. But what we don't know how to do is this, AI and this quantum computing and all of this stuff that's going to come rapidly over the next 2 to 3 years. You're going to find my generation exposed to that what my mom was exposed to in the early 90s. So why I say that, because Sierra and Company is going to be positioned very well, because you're going to come with skills that's relatively like, this is what today is. You're not looking back like I'm going to have to look back and try to understand how to now take new skills and old skills and make it make sense. So for you, that's a long kind of explanation to talk about a little bit about, you've had an opportunity, 5 or 6 business owners you've worked with recently. How are you coaching? Like, if you was to tell a new entrepreneur, 'cause I get a lot of entrepreneurs, that's where the field I deal in. I do a lot of entrepreneur coaching and different things. And Kennedy, you're a coach, believe it or not, because when you're talking to a company owner, you're being a coach. You're listening to them and you're trying to figure out how to make their life better, systems. So what's one habit or discipline that you think every entrepreneur today, if you was to work with a new small business tomorrow, what is one habit or discipline you think they need to develop immediately to be successful in this world today in entrepreneurship?
Organization and open-mindedness.
Oh, wow. Say more.
I say that because I think, for one, when you lack organization, it reflects in your life and just stress in general. Because when you're not organized, it literally makes you go crazy. You're like, okay, where is this thing? I'm looking for this file. I can't find this file. Where's this contact? I was supposed to do this. But you need a system to lay it out for you and make it clear, so you can understand and take the steps that you need to take to get to that point. And I say open-mindedness because some people can be stuck in their ways, but ultimately, as you said, the world is changing. So we don't want to get left behind. So we have to change with it. And with that comes being willing to learn new things. And if you're not willing to learn new things, that gives another business the opportunity to have that willingness and ultimately get ahead. So I think always keeping in mind there's new systems, technology, everything in the market on a daily, but it doesn't have to be something that business owners are afraid of, but questioning, how can I make this system work for me and help me be more
Yeah,
efficient?
I appreciate that. I think those are, man, 2 reflective moments there. Number 2, learning and being a lifelong learner. I think I got that. Boy, I think I got an A on that. The organization part, Kennedy. Woo! As you were explaining that, I was looking around my office like, I'm looking on my desk and I'm like, thank goodness that this camera does not pan anywhere that you can see in here, because it's something that my wife constantly talks about. My wife is super organized, like to a point where I can't even understand that level of organization. But she calls my office chaos. That's what she calls it. She's like, not that it's that's the name of my office. Like, yeah, it's chaos. Because my organization, I'm the person that on my desktop, there's 17, probably 29 folders, all kind of documents spread out all over the place. It is just, but I know where everything at. But I know when you talk about that feeling of not being able to find something and the stress and anxiety, I will tell you that, Kennedy is spot on here. And, I want her to kind of expound on that a little more. What is 30 days? What does the first 30 days look like and you envision for a small entrepreneur working with Sierra and Company? I'm a startup entrepreneur, been in business a year and a half. I'm willing to learn, but I am disorganized as all get up. Probably losing customers because I don't have a proper way to track them, and I got sticky notes everywhere. I'm actually, y'all, describing my office right now, by the way. But I got 6 laptops and iPads that are not charged. How does 30 days with Sierra and Co. and Kennedy at the helm look for a small entrepreneur that's just a little bit overwhelmed right now?
Step 1, organization. So with CRM, most clients that I've worked with are starting from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even just a collection of business cards that they've collected from conferences or, passing by in a Ziploc bag. Not even in anywhere.
Get out of my office.
It is not that bad, okay? It's not that bad. Ziploc bag, maybe spreadsheet as a CRM, whatever it is, organization.
Yeah.
So I would say, for one, if it's a Ziploc bag situation, organized by sector or industry. If it's a spreadsheet situation, let's clean up those fields and make them make sense and not just, a lot of different information in different areas. Phase two, I would say selecting a CRM platform that best fits the business's needs. Phase three, setting all of the information for the CRM up and importing the contacts, whether that's directly from this cleaned up spreadsheet with the updated fields or importing them manually from a Ziploc bag with business cards. Fourth, I would tag the emails that have already been sent out if that is necessary. For example, if you have a contact from maybe Amazon, keeping that and making sure you're tracking their cadence. So you have everything under one file. You know when's the last time you contacted them, any notes about this person, making sure you're adding that extra information. Hey, I met them at the She Leads DC conference, stuff like that. And then moving forward to maintaining the CRM is the last phase, making sure that, okay, you attended this conference yesterday. If myself, Kennedy, is supposed to be maintaining this, I need to send Kennedy all these business cards so she can upload them. And I need to follow up with these people. Kennedy will set a reminder for me to follow up, but I actually need to follow up. Because if I don't, I'm going to be like, hey, you were supposed to follow up with this person on this day. What's going on? So holding everybody accountable, making sure that we're moving through the phases in the right manner and maintaining just organization and efficiency so we do not lose money, clients, time, just all of the above.
Well, awesome. Hey, audience. Hey, Unbounded podcast. I want to just note 2 points to what Kennedy just said. First of all, Kennedy did not get these questions before this podcast. She has absolutely no idea what I was going to ask her or talk about. I asked her yesterday, I'm like, hey, you ready? You'll be on podcast tomorrow? Yes. And that was it. We don't send you questions beforehand. That was awesome. And second point is someone who's been in business for a while now and has had different CRMs and different workforce managers and everything like that. What Kennedy just gave you, and I want you to, after we're done with this podcast in a few minutes, you're listening to the end, I want you to rewind back to 36 minutes to 39 minutes, those 3 minutes that she just talked about. She just gave you $1,000 worth of free game, what she just gave you. Now, if you want to try to do that yourself, you're welcome to it. That's because it was only 3 minutes that she talked, but it's a lot of work what she just said. But what she just told you is what I would say with no official Wikipedia stats I have in my hands, but I would say 98% or larger of brand new small business. I did the opposite of what Kennedy said for almost 3.5 years. And I probably lost untold, probably 7 figures of revenue because I laughed and you saw my face and she said, I literally have a Ziploc. No, multiple, like Kennedy.
I know exactly what.
For those of you who are listening to the podcast right now and not on YouTube, seeing the episode on YouTube, I'm holding up one of many Ziploc bags I have of business cards. I haven't contacted, this is over 100 plus business cards in this Ziploc bag. I didn't contact any of these people. I didn't follow up with any of these people. I didn't have an automated email go out just to say good to meet, nothing. So business owners, let me tell you, because we're doing it right now. And I told Kenny this yesterday, we're building a CRM with all, that's why I got Ziplocs and I'm trying to, but I will tell you over 3.5 years of not doing that, the contacts that you did not follow up with, the systems that you did not put in place. And shout out to Jess. She's a systems optimization, somebody who I'm going to connect with, Kennedy, who told me 5 years ago, this should be your number one thing that you do. And I said, yeah, sure, Jess, I got to worry about this. I got to worry about that. I got this to do. I got that to do 5 years ago. And I'm telling you, as a business owner today, we've done well in business, but we can be probably 6 steps ahead of where we are today if we just invested in one system. And why I say that, because I'm shouting out people like Kennedy who do systems optimization and all of these different work like that. people in beginning a business don't understand the importance of them. The first thing we want to do is jump on social media and produce a bunch of graphics and make a lot of graphics and make a lot of noise on social media. And that's fine. We go to marketing, but marketing doesn't mean nothing if you have no system to follow up to the customers that you are bringing. So if you're bringing people it's like bringing people to your house for a dinner party and you got no food. That's what I tell my entrepreneurship class. I'm like, some people tell me I spend 22 hours a week on social media, making content, making all this content. I say, so when they come, what happens then? And that's where this comes into play. So Kennedy, shout out to you for understanding that niche, that gap in the market. So if you ain't hiring Kennedy, then you wrong, because we might have to talk after this podcast, like I told you yesterday, because I got someone doing that right now, but we're going to see how well they do. So as we start to round out this episode, I kind of do a rapid fire. First question I have you, if there was a word for 2026 that defines the direction that you would want to go, what's that one word you would use?
Elevate.
Elevate. Love it. Elevate. All right. I love that. What would you tell, this is a 3-part because I know you can handle it, captain of the debate team. This is a 3-part rapid fire. What would you tell a 15 to 18-year-old who wants to start a business right now? And what would you tell a 30-year-old? And what would you tell a 50-year-old that wants to have the issues of Ziploc bags and all of these things? What would you tell them to make them believe that Kennedy is the right person for them to hire?
Well, I would show them my testimonials and show my clients back me. And that's why I've maintained them for an extended period of time, even with people who has extensive tenures of 10 plus years in their business. They have trusted me even as a startup because of the experience that I bring to the table. But I would also like to bring up that CRMs are not as frustrating or hard or scary as they may seem. I know that this organization may seem a little overbearing, but once you get a grasp on it, it's manageable and you'll appreciate all the time that you get back in your schedule and day-to-day life as a result of just taking a leap of faith and working on the things that you need to focus on.
Awesome. One last one. What book would you recommend someone read in 2026?
I actually just started a new book.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's called It Will Not Happen Here. Or That Can't Happen Here.
Okay.
I have to look it up. But I love to read, but basically this book is actually, I think it might be about to be banned. I'm not sure. I don't know. It was popped up in the Barnes and Noble's table and like maybe, something like that. But so far that book is basically covering about like the Great Depression era, and how people thought, or I guess in a world that the Nazis came to the United States, how people think that democracy is basically undefeatable. So showing that, the United States and just all these other countries, we look at foreign countries as, I guess, kind of expecting certain things from other areas, but we view the United States as superior. But just because the United States might be on top at one point in time does not mean that it's always going to be on top. So having an open mind and really paying attention to what's going on in politics and everything right now as our world is changing, staying knowledgeable. And I think that book is definitely an eye-opener to make you open your eyes and really pay attention to the times that we're living in today.
Oh, awesome, man. Just very reflective. So thank you, Kennedy. One last thing before we jump off. Where can people find you if they want to hire you, learn more about Sierra & Co., or just get a hold of you professionally? Where can they do that?
So I have an Instagram page, which is Kennedy Mackall at KennedyMackall, as well as a LinkedIn page, also Kennedy Mackall. And Sierra & Co. has a LinkedIn page, which is Sierra with the + and co.
Awesome. Hey, Kennedy, I will be understating if I said how great this conversation was. We've been on here like, man, this was not forced. We've been on here 47 minutes and I feel like I didn't ask you but one question. I feel like I have like 15 more questions to ask, and we could be here for 4 hours, but nobody listens to 4 hour podcasts.
Podcast.
No one. Unbounded is dedicated to being, under like 45 minutes and,
Mhm.
to an hour. If we got a great episode, we've been to 55. And this is one of those episodes I'm okay with going over 45 minutes. But Kennedy, it's been a joy to have you on this. I waited years and years before doing a podcast because I'm like, I've been on tons of podcasts and I co-host a podcast and this, but I'm like, if I'm going to do something, it's not really going to be a podcast, but I guess the definition of it is a podcast. But yes, I can write books and tell my story and all this stuff. And I get an opportunity to travel around the world and speak to people and tell parts of my story and then be myself. But man, I realized one day that there are so many people I meet on my journey that their story should be amplified. Even if it's to 6 people on my podcast or 10 or whatever, there's another person out there besides me that needs their voice. And if I can help that, then that's all. My guests are picked from that. My guests are literally picked. We don't have a webpage where we say sign up to be a podcast guest.
Right.
I met a guy in Safeway yesterday and I was like, we just talked. And I was like, in line, I was like, hey man, you should be on my podcast. And this might sound creepy, but it's not creepy. I see this guy all the time in the gym. And I met this guy in the gym a while back. And then I haven't been to the gym in a month until a couple of days ago. And I saw him again and we were headed to the sauna. And he said, hey man, what's going on and all this stuff. And he said, I just got back from doing my TEDx. And I said, oh, I did a TEDx. And so we shared TEDx. And I learned this guy was on this amazing weight loss journey where he changed his whole life and lost like 280 pounds and lives this resilient life now. And I'm like, man, this is so awesome. And my next question was, he should be on my podcast. So for me, what I'm enjoying about this journey, and you're only the sixth person I have recorded so far in the last 2 weeks, is the conversations and the stories and the connections that I get to hear that other people are going to be so inspired by. Think about this. Like you're reading a book, books don't ever leave. And, they're always going to be somewhere in the digital space. This podcast, you're going to look back on 10 years from now and you're going to giggle. You're going to giggle. So I hope you get to look back on this. It's always going to be around. And once it's in the digital space, it's in the digital space. Right. So 10 years from now, I hope you go back and go, man, I was setting the bar way too small. Look at me now. My vision was big and it was long, but boy, could never imagine. And I know that's going to happen. Again, Kennedy, thank you for our listeners. Find us on Spotify, YouTube, all the things, all the places this will be out. And please, if you like it, subscribe. If you don't like, subscribe anyway. If you want to get a hold of Kennedy, we'll be dropping some links in when her episode comes out. So if you're listening to this right now, you'll be able to find her on LinkedIn. Man, please look at her services. I guarantee you by the time this come out, you'll be able to find a lot more things about what she's doing, Sierra & Co. If you're an entrepreneur and you didn't take 33 to 37 minute time frame and you didn't write that down as a must-have nugget in your life and play that to your entire staff or whoever you got in your small business, then you're missing out. Again, Kennedy, thank you. This has been awesome. We are unbounded because we are people who live limitless lives. And that's all we have for today. Thanks a lot. We'll see you on the next episode.